Welcome to the podcast. We're here. We have the pleasure of introducing you to two remarkable entrepreneurial individuals with a passion for business and helping out people. We're going to take a deep dive into the world of innovation and leadership and success with Marc and Mark of wallPen North America, who bring their unique perspectives and experiences to the table. So, let's get ready for an engaging conversation filled with wisdom, humor, and a double dose of entrepreneurial expertise. So let's welcome Marc and Mark, who are shaping the printing business, vertical printing business landscape, and discover the invaluable lessons they have to share with all of us.
James, the use of remarkable was totally not forced at all. Good job.
Yeah.
Way to work that one in organically.
I'm already liking this whole podcast thing. This is great. Yeah.
We're on fire. All right, let's keep it rolling.
Yeah. How do you guys? So just maybe a quick introduction on who the two of you are and your roles within wallPen.
Yeah, I'll start us off. So I'm Marc Tisdall. I've worked in product development and interior construction for most of my career as a mechanical engineer. Did a lot of product development. In some of my experiences working through projects and project scope and seeing how things were unveiled, like basically came up with this idea for this technology, this wall printing, and wrote Marc in, who's a longtime business partner and friend, to give me a hand. And basically we kind of started from scratch.
Nice.
Yeah, Mark and I go way back. We've been friends for over 15 years now. University buddies, worked on many projects, and got a call from Mark when I saw the short clip of the opportunity of something printing on a wall. I was just, interest was piqued, and that really was the first domino in a line of many dominoes that fell down to get us here.
It's interesting to note that the thing that got Marc interested in the project, because I like to bait him with ideas and I've always wanted to kind of get us back to working together on engineering projects. That video kind of got us through the 5 years of development of truly the thing about this technology that we're playing with is when you see it, when you actually are watching it go, it's just impossible to deny how exciting it is to watch it. And that first clip is consistently the main reason we've kept through the project through the ups and downs. Has been every time we turn that thing on and it prints, it's just mind blowing.
Nice. And then why you have continued over the past 5 years with this, during that time, what were some of the challenges that you guys may have had with starting up your own business during the...
How long do we have for this podcast?
Yeah, I was just going to say, man, this might be a 4-hour conversation. Would you like me to start with my personal failures as a man? Or let me work my way right through as a husband and a father while we're... But yeah, I think that's probably the hardest thing, honestly, at the end of the day, is staying the course when you're the only one on it. Right. It's a natural feeling of when you try to go do something in an entrepreneurial landscape, the feeling is you are on your own, and my old mentor, Mogan Smed, will tell you, and I agree, the longer I've done this, the more I agree, probably the most essential ingredient to any of this is perseverance, right? Marc and I fondly point out maybe we're just too stupid to quit. But where you draw the line there, I'm not exactly sure, but certainly being able to just keep going even when things aren't marching through, and knowing that you're really the only person who's going to be pushing this. It's a big heavy rock and you're the only one that gets to push it, and a lot of times that means it's uphill. So if you stop, if you try to quit, it's going to roll back on you. That's there's a momentum to these things, and I think staying positive is a great reason to have a business partner. I lean on Marc heavily to balance out my roller coaster effect of doing this is just not trying to, pivoting is important. Macro 20,000 foot views are important, but probably the most essential is putting one foot in front of the other and just keep going forward in the direction that got you started in the first place.
Yeah. The consistency.
Yeah. This one was unique too. I mean, we've done a few other things in the past, but with this one, we couldn't go to YouTube and say how to run a wall printer, business models for printing services. I'm having trouble with this machine. It didn't exist before we got involved. This thing was so new. we were in a garage in the middle of Germany when we saw this thing for the first time. It really, there was no path. And we were working with the group overseas who were also focused on machine development, not necessarily commercializing the business. And so reminder, and then Mark referred to this earlier, like the reminder of what we're seeking and why this is cool, that like the videos of the machine doing amazing work was like always kind of, no, this is awesome. And if we think it's awesome, there has to be other people that think it's awesome. And, that's worth pursuing. And it really got us through some pretty tumultuous times. Business, I mean, we've been doing that. We ran this through COVID. Like there's been a lot of ups and downs, and just being excited about the thing you're doing was super important.
I gotta further that comment, and again, going back to Mogan Smed, like he has some great, like I've learned a lot working for him. That was like most of my career is working for this guy, and he's if nothing else, certainly entrepreneur is the correct word of using it. And he had a line when we first started, because we showed him the tech, and he was we did a great print for him in his facility, and he was slinging his old Danish wisdom as he's wont to do with us. But he had one that I think now I appreciate a lot more than I did at the time, which is to say you don't want it to work right away. The past 5 years, you would not say have been a great time to start a business. At least I hope not. Maybe like a N95 mask manufacturer was killing it, or like real estate agents probably did really well. Right. But like it was a tough 5 years for a lot of reasons outside of just the business. But not succeeding right away, not having massive success right out of the gate, and by that I mean just it was a slam dunk automatic and we plugged and play. That certainly wasn't the case. But it forced us to like really like take every little thing we could to push it forward. It made us a lot smarter. It made us a lot tougher. It made us a lot like more persistent in what we were doing. And the belief that we were right was like much more internal because things weren't working perfectly, and there's a lot to be said for like, yeah, having it too easy, it just probably would have set us up to fail later a little bit more gloriously. You know what I mean? Whereas now I feel like we've kind of been in a bit of a knife fight, like trying to force this through, running on extremely limited budgets, running through like difficult times in the economy generally, has made our business like significantly more effective. It's like I'm way more confident when I say, no, you can definitely make money with this machine. Trust me, we had to. Like I assure you, it does work, because like otherwise we wouldn't be here like talking to you about it. So in a lot of ways, the challenges were necessary, especially in this particular case. Yeah.
Nice. Now you talk about like the challenges. Were there like some key moments within like this journey of like starting like your business where, you knew that it was something that you wanted to continue on, but like, were there like some key moments that you sort of like hang on to and like use as like motivation to like push through, like just like any like good positive moments of running the business that you can think of?
Good positive moments, honestly, do not stand out as much as like catastrophic failures. I don't know if that's just my personality, but like I'll tell you, I got like a lot of great like examples of the failure side. Mark, I don't know if you want to take a crack.
Yeah, no, I mean it's true. The things that ring true were the things that were the most challenging because they were the catastrophic. But it's on the back end of that, were the things that I think is being like some of our biggest successes. In the early days, we were trying to push this technology to its limits because we needed to understand what the limits were so that we can then work within them and then help guide our customers to be able to work within them. So we did a project that was 35 feet wide, 11 and a half feet tall, 17 and a half feet up in the air on scaffolding. Wow. In front of an entire warehouse, 100,000 square foot warehouse of people. There was an audience the full time. We had never printed that high. Just the printer alone, let alone printing on top of scaffolding. We had forklifts. We were setting up things like that. Whole endeavor took, several days, and it amounted to a lot of failure, some near-death experiences in the process. A lot of things that like were very close to catastrophe that could have easily derailed us for a long time or forever. But on the back end of that, like we were able to successfully get the print on the wall. People were impressed by the end result. And anybody who was in the facility long enough to see the whole thing play out were certainly, admirable of our perseverance. Cause like, there was a few times where people like, I would have quit a long time ago, given what we were doing, but having this everything from having to restabilize scaffolding to like catching the machine because, you know, I got in the way while it was moving. It's like, there's just a lot in that experience that I think back on. It's like just the fact that we got to the other end of that is like, I'm chalking that one up in the win column for sure.
Definitely, man. I mean, I think that's kind of it too. It's like, if you look at like what I consider to be the biggest wins is when we were like faced with adversity, like what we did about it.
Right.
For me, the one that always stands out is Detroit, where we were slated to do a print. It was very early days. And when we first started the wall printing, we wanted to be wall printers. You know what I mean? We didn't want to get involved in the artwork because I can barely draw stick figures. For the life of me, cannot draw an isometric view. You know what I mean? It's like the last thing I wanted to get involved in is like trying to make that on top of like, we're figuring out the technology, we're figuring out the business model. So we got presented with this opportunity where a graphic designer was going to do the artwork. And it was this really, really great job. It was 40-foot hallways on the top floor of an office building. It was the executive floor, basically. And it was these huge walls. They were like, I think they were like 10 feet tall, again, 40 feet long. Such a great opportunity because we could do some really cool things. We had visions of like a graffiti skyline, like really pushing it and being like, this could be a showstopper. This could be fantastic. And what we found was by having to coordinate the artwork with the graphic designer, all of the benefits, everything that our vision of what we wanted to do and what would have optimized for us in this process were completely lost on the graphic designer because she was used to doing vinyl. So she ended up with some ridiculous clip art with, I call it the 40-foot purple line, which is what they settled on for the graphic. And you're like, not only would I not print this, I wouldn't print this in any way. Like I would paint this. This is kind of disappointing. You know, it's like, this is a wah-wah. Like this could have been incredible. And instead you want me to print a 40-foot purple line? Like, I mean, are you kidding me? That not only is that incredibly challenging, but when I'm done with it, like it's not going to be extraordinary. You know what I mean? At least the challenge could have some sort of reward at the end of it. It's sort of like getting a bowl of oatmeal at the end of it. It's like, it's fine, but it's not exactly going to get me up in the morning, you know? And in that moment, we realized that like, we have to take on all aspects of this business. We have to like, it's not good enough that we're pioneering a new marketplace. It's not good enough that we're taking a brand new piece of technology and putting it through its paces. We also have to pick up this like brand new concept we have of like, we want to be able to create custom murals for anybody. And we have to find a cost-effective, like design effective. It has to look good. It has to be like everyone happy. Like it was just one more project we didn't want to do. But like we took a step back and looked at it and said like, I don't see how we advance the company to where we want to unless we're willing to shoulder this, you know, and it is admittedly is a massive project and arguably still is. You know, it's not like we've solved it, but we certainly have put in place enough process improvements and ideas around the whole idea of like, what do you mean by mural? What do you mean by this? That like now we can effectively do it. You know what I mean? And it's ongoing, but it's like one of those examples of like, we could have just sat back and let the market guide us and do this. And instead, like we took it on and now it's something we offer on every single job. There's very few jobs we do where people are providing artwork. And it honestly like has enhanced our business because we can cater the printing to what we know is going to look good. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the fun part too, I mean, another thing just as an intellectual interest, frankly, like I'm fascinated to find that like there are trends. You know what I mean? Like we go to the artwork and it's like, it's one of those things where, you know, operators want a menu book, you know, hey, pick out of this book what graphic you want. It's a very common thing to want out of these things because it saves you that step. The problem is like, yeah, this is like getting a tattoo out of a book. I'm not saying people don't do it. I'm just saying like, is that really how you want to go about choosing your custom murals, like out of a playbook?
Yeah.
Now, that said, there are common themes. You know, there are things that like every market we go into, like people always love a big map. Like always, it's never missing. Like there's something human about going up and like finding your house on a big map on the wall that works every time. Skylines, like there's just certain things we know, no matter what city we're in. Like that'll be like a thing people want to do. So it's all it's crazy the amount of like insight we've gained by opening that door, which at the time the door meant more water was coming in, right? But like, hey, let's just deal with it. Eventually it'll balance out, and it certainly has. It's been one of the best investments we've made.
That's awesome.
Definitely. It was certainly one of the biggest pivots in our journey was that taking on the artwork, and it touches upon something that we believe in ourselves and also instill into our customers. Doesn't matter what happens, it matters what you do about it. And like that's something that we definitely try to remind ourselves, no matter what's going on. It's like, it's always your actions after that are going to turn this into an opportunity. And that has by and large been one of the best things we've done for our print service business, and has provided a ton of value to our customers as well.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, you guys are talking a lot about like these massive prints that you guys can do with the wall printing. Like, what makes wall printing that much better than, like, let's say, like using like a vinyl on a wall or things like that? Like, what are the advantages of using wall printing and like your services?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm going to hit you with the sales pitch now, James. So, I mean, if you're interested, we do sell the technology, so that's great. Like, thank you for that. Just lob that sucker up there, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting things about the technology that, like, besides the fact that it's very cool. That's like obviously probably one of the best things about it is like you can set this thing up and people are drawn to it. Yeah. I'm not saying vinyl isn't cool, but like, let's be honest, like apples to apples, like watching a robot printing in situ is cooler than watching someone put a big sticker on the wall, right?
Yeah.
There's any number of interesting advantages. Environmentally, there's a huge case to be made for like why zero waste construction is the way to go and why that's massive. I think that's pretty self-evident. I would recommend just looking into it, but like that one seems pretty obvious right away. I think for me, and I'll pass this over to Mark, he can talk about it. For me, the part that I love is the way that interior designers, like one of the biggest advantages we can give interior designers is we don't really fit into the typical construction Gantt chart. So what typically happens is, you know, all this construction's happening as the build out. As you get closer to occupancy, everyone's obviously getting squeezed as we get closer. Delays in the front push everything else that was supposed to start early gets pushed into this tiny little window. This technology actually doesn't require that. We can print past occupancy. The vast majority of the time when we present that to clients of like, hey, like when would you like us to come in and do this? We could do it ahead of time or this. They choose to go when their employees are coming through because they want to show off. Like, it's a really cool thing to watch, right? Like it's become kind of personalized, the whole graphic side. And that's like, when you think about it, given like graphics really are sort of like this manifestation of like your culture, like graphics really kind of speak to what you're going for. Like you know, are you graffiti or are you watercolors? Like, are you abstract geometry or are you logos? Like there's a lot of things you could say. It really does kind of make the culture of the build out pop. The fact that we can be off the schedule where it's like, it really isn't as consequential whether this starts and ends at any given date gives interior designers who are notoriously like, they change their mind on everything all the time. We actually have been on site sitting there with our laptops with the artwork while two designers were having a discussion in the space for like, okay, we've chosen the artwork, but how do we actually want this to go? And they went through and they modified, like, not like huge details necessarily, although that really wouldn't be a big deal, but like just those little nuances that they could do all at once. So like, you know what, let's do this. And then we went ahead and processed the file and printed it. You are never going to get that in a print shop or a sign company or anything that requires a schedule where like you're getting it. You could never do that. Whereas for us, it's built in. Of course, I want you to be happy. Just when I hit print, that's when it's locked in. As long as you understand that, like we can make pretty much adjustments as you'd like. And that's something that we didn't see at the start, but like as we started getting into these bid packages, as we started working with interior designers, like that became one of the biggest selling features. That was just like, you could see the stress go out of the interior designer. Like, thank God I don't have to pick 4 weeks ahead of even going into the site and seeing, do I even like the lighting? Is this space you don't get that like personal feel with those graphics. So for me, I think that's one of the biggest advantages that this does over traditional printing.
Nice.
Can you tell we're engineers? Process is the it's true though. It's a huge factor and one that we hadn't considered, but is constantly being the thing that, you know, the larger projects for sure, the thing that sells them on. I've always liked aesthetically, and it's always been hard to communicate, but the aesthetics of printing directly onto a wall has the differentiator of a sticker between a tattoo. We're kind of tattooing your wall. It integrates into your space. It feels more organic and natural. The color of your wall stays consistent in between the dead space of the white space of the image, right? So it feels as if it belongs. There's no edge. There's no border to it. And with that, you get the ability to do things like drop shadow and gradients and depth. And one of the projects we did was this like really cool vintage postcard for a bike shop on their wall, kind of like called out the area that the shop was in Southwest Florida. created this like really cool drop shadow effect, accounted for the sun coming through the window so that the shadow looked super realistic. We're like, this looks awesome. And we found out that anybody who came into the shop didn't even give it a second thought, only because they just assumed it was a sign mounted to the wall. And it wasn't until they were directed to like, no, go up and check it out, like go. And as they get closer, as you get within kind of 6 feet, you realize there's no depth to it. And then everybody just inherently reaches out and touches the wall and realizes that it's just kind of like flat. And I don't know, that to me just seemed like it was just so cool. I love seeing it. I get made fun of for adding drop shadow to everything, but it's just like, why the hell not, man? It's like, we can do it. It looks awesome. Sure, let's go for it.
You're right though, Cosmo. It is unique to this printer that like, you try to do like, you ever seen those sidewalk sketches, where you stand from a certain angle and it looks like there's a hole. Like it's tough to do that with vinyl. Like for a lot of reasons, it's like the hard edge of the transition between the vinyl and the wall. If you do floor to ceiling wall covering, like you get seams every 4.5 feet or whatever it is. Like it's hard to get a perspective shot with vinyl, like to where like it blends in. You know what I mean? And then he's right. It is very unique to this technology. I don't know. It's sort of hand painting. I don't know any other way to achieve that where you wouldn't get some sort of obstruction or intrusion in the actual view of it.
Yeah, you guys are talking a lot about like processes. So I guess like just even taking a step back, like what is the process for someone to want a piece of artwork onto like one of their walls, like essentially from like ideation to like the final like process of it going up, and how long does it take, for instance, to put a piece of creative on a wall? So like what sort of like
the front loading of the design process, like I was saying, is like something we do in house now. So if you're starting from scratch and you're like, I have a wall and yes, I want to print, like we would do it like a lot of interior designers would do, which is sort of like get a sense of what you're going for. Just like what space are we even in? Like are you talking about graffiti or watercolor? Like which of these styles are we generally talking about? What's the general theme? Like, do you want it to be geography? Do you want it to be a thing? Like, do you have any interests, hobbies, whatever your topic is? We would put together a mood board and be like, here's some general thoughts around what we think would look good. Here's things we've done in the past. And we sort of just give them an option. And once they've started making like big decisions, we sort of just keep working with them until we revise it down into like they sign it off. And the design process is a lot of back and forth, like checking with them to see it. Like, is this the final thing you want? Once we have that, it becomes very straightforward. Once you have like the final image, and Mark, I don't know if you want to speak to that part of it, but
that kind of runs it down through the process from the operator to the customer. And this is something that we definitely like, we coach anybody who's starting their own wallpen business. The process that we've developed is really to shorten the gap between I have a blank wall and I want something and then putting something on that wall.
Right.
And so allowing the customer to get involved in that process, but also guiding, we're not artists, we're curators. It's kind of how we frame it, because like, I'm not doing the actual artwork myself, but I'm going to help guide my customer towards their own vision by providing them examples and iterations of those examples. And it works great, because one of the biggest challenges we found when dealing with customers who have a blank space is what to put up on the wall. If you give somebody infinite choice, they are immediately paralyzed with, the inability to choose. So helping guide them towards something great that they feel involved in and feel a part of creating just makes the whole experience a heck of a lot more enjoyable. And the customer then feels like it's their artwork as well, or a part of their artwork. And that goes from everything from creating the artwork itself to working with artists to kind of resell their work for the customer. The customer gets a feeling of being involved in the community and everything like that. So it's great. A lot of the times from customers, we just want big and bold. That's kind of like the direction we're given. Very vague, but like, or big and vibrant. It's like it's kind of this big abstract idea. And so through this, like Mark was saying, providing a bit of detail, providing a bit of a few examples, A, B, C. From there, we can kind of hone in on what the customer is looking for. And we found that process to be, incredibly effective. And again, anything we can do to kind of shorten the gap between, the customer looking for artwork and putting that artwork up on the wall is great for everybody. Process is sweet, simple, and at the end of it, they get something, totally awesome in their space. And as far as the printing goes, I mean, that's get that's a couple of hours and you're done, right? In and out. They're just like that whole process in of itself is amazing, you know?
I think we'll have to break this up into some other podcasts. Like we could go on and have a whole separate hour-long conversation just on art. Like I think we should do that. We'll go in depth and talk about like some of these stuff we're doing in AI, some of the stuff we're doing in like just how we utilize shutter slide. We're happy to step people through that process because it really is pretty extensive. It's a lot harder than we thought, even though we did recognize the challenge. It's interesting when you get into the details of it. Yeah.
Nice. And just, I guess, going back to, you know, the thought of like the 5 years, I know you guys, it seems like you guys are really interested in like conquering challenges and working through like processes, and maybe it could be like the engineers in you, but like what drives you guys? Like, what is it? Like, what is it about like wall printing and like the business and like helping other entrepreneurs? And
sure,
why is it that you're trying to like help other people get involved with this? Like, what drives you guys to like keep pushing forward and helping out other people?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's actually one that I think is very easy to lose sight of as an entrepreneur. That's one that like, that's where like, you know, you take a break, like it's good to reflect on those things, like meditate on them and really think through. And I think, I don't know, I'll start, and Mark, feel free to jump in and offer your thoughts. For me, it's when we realized that through this piece of technology, like an individual can run their own business and be as financially successful as they'd like. Basically, that there's not many things you can do, not many things that I know of where you can be starting at over $200 an hour. Like that's what our going rate on site actually is when you break down all the things that we're doing, with a huge opportunity to jack that up way past that point. That's like kind of our get started on site rate. How many things can you think of where I could give you like 2 days of training, a playbook of my insights in the business, and you can go out and generate that rate? I mean, think how many guys are driving Uber just to make that extra $100, make that extra $200. Makes a huge difference to them, you know? So for me, when I look at it, I go, man, I love getting out of, I'm not going to call it the rat race, but like, I love getting out of that corporate structure and being able to generate what I want when I want. I think for the most of our clientele, that's what they're after, is they want to be their own boss. They're kind of like, they're either tired and they want to be their own boss, but like sometimes it's not even necessarily like that it's a person that's stopping you. It's like, man, being an electrician is hard on your body. Like being a trade is tough, man. If you've been doing that for 10, 15 years, you're beat up. Like that's not easy work. I don't think anyone would sit here and say that that's easy work. I'm not going to say printing doesn't have like carrying the bags and setting up, but like by comparison, it's pretty light duty. It's like once you set up the printer, you hit print, you're kind of just hanging out there waiting for making sure, babysitting and making sure that it goes according to plan while generating all this revenue. So for me, I look at it, I'm like, the thing I want ambitious people who like really want to drive this thing forward, to recognize like the opportunity's there. If you listen to what we're saying and you actually run through the numbers, there's very, very few things that are like super interesting to work on. They're not going to like kill you to do. They're fully on your schedule. There's zero overhead attached to it. Once the machine's paid for, this thing fits in your car. This thing stays in your garage. Like you do not need to do this. Besides the tech, besides the tool itself, there's not a huge investment in cash necessarily if you're willing to put the sweat equity into it from learning from us and all those things. And I have found myself like really, we just opened up space in Nashville. I can't wait to start doing training. I'll even train you even if you don't own a wallPen. I'd be thrilled. Come see what I mean. I think watching when people get it, when you're pitching it and they start piecing together our story at Concept Inc. and then they go, so what's stopping me from doing this? And I sort of like, well, like a machine, basically. Like that's kind of where we're at, is like, get yourself a machine. And like, I assure you, there's no reason you can't emulate what we did. There's absolutely, and the market is wide open, right?
Yeah, it is a good question. It's one that we do reflect on, honestly, like having listened to Mark talk and just being posed the question, it made me start thinking, and this is kind of a new thought for me, but I think the idea coming from the corporate world into something like this, the thing I'm noticing most and the thing I enjoy most is that everybody's incentives are aligned, from us as the distributors and sellers and the kind of coaches for anybody buying a printer. All of our objectives are aligned. We want people to be printing. We want to be printing. More ink on the wall is beneficial for everybody. It's seldom an opportunity where you're working on something with a community of people where everybody's kind of pushing in the exact same direction. More printing is just great for everybody involved, all the way to the customer getting the print on the wall. And so that's kind of really what our driving ethos is, and everything that we're doing to make it easier for our customers to be able to operate these machines and the process to run their business. We want to be focused on printing. We want to be focused on getting those prints on the wall, and all the other stuff is everything that Mark and I are working on to allow and enable that type of movement, that type of effort forward, and that vision to be able to stay focused on that. So, yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to continue to think about. But the alignments of incentives is actually pretty unique. I don't know if I've ever been in a situation where that's been true.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's true, man. Like how much you have to gain by working together. Like it's true. There's very few things that work quite as cleanly as this.
Yeah, it sounds like there's like a good community involved with wallPen. It sounds like really good. That it's not like people are left on their own devices to figure it out. Because I mean, you guys actually went through that whole process of trying to figure things out on your own, and you guys have like the playbook now. So like beyond like the machine itself, or the robot, I should say, what are people? What else do they get? Like when they sign up with wallPen, like what else is there involved with this? Like that they have for support?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we can sit here and say like, where did our business come from? What do these contracts look like? How did we get them? And, where would you start? And yeah, it breaks pretty cleanly into like two different categories of printing that you want to get out of the start. You want to start with things that are one-ofs, things that are simple, easy to execute, get some cash in your pocket, get you familiar with the machine, like just getting comfortable. And that's always where I point people to start. So like a great example of a market or a vertical in the market that like always has space, always is very easygoing when it comes to like wanting murals, like breweries. So if you're in a city and you have a dozen breweries, like I promise you, go walk into those breweries, you're going to find a wall. And you're like, oh my God, this is like 30 feet. Like nothing's on here. Like great. Like you can have a really great time, like talking to them, trying to get the logo, the artwork, all that stuff is very lax, right? So there's a whole bunch of examples of verticals in every city in North America that we can point to be like, just start here, just go prospect, go talk to them. I guarantee you'll find like, you'll start putting thousands of dollars in your pocket and you're going to feel really good about like, hey, this is actually simple. At the same time, what you want to build in is you want to build in relationships, right? So you want people out there selling your service for you. So if you're in a city and they're building out an office building, there's a graphics package attached to that building. Right. Someone is speccing those graphics. Someone wants artwork in some capacity in every office in North America, for sure. So you want to find those people. They're interior designers, they're architects, they're designers, that group of people. And you want to show them the technology. And you want to offer them the ability to spec this in their jobs by presenting it, explaining the benefits, all that good stuff that comes with it, which ultimately is a pitch that they've never heard, right? And it solves some major problems for them that they didn't even really consider that they had. All that they really know is like graphics are always a bit of a pain. It's always a bit of a pain point. It's always at the end of a job. It's always challenging, all these things. So if you can balance those two sales efforts where like you're going out and getting like regular business because people have walls and they want things printed against relationships and areas where like there's a whole slew of them that I could point to, interior design is just one example where long term, they're going to keep giving you repeat business. Like you can get really healthy cash flow within 18 months to 2 years. Your cash flow is going to be extraordinary. You're going to be looking at expanding. You're going to need multiple machines, which is consistent with what we found post-COVID Toronto.
Right.
Yeah.
To add to that, I mean, that insight is kind of a fraction of the insight that we've gained having run our own print service business. And,
right.
When signing up, I mean, like it's really that we want to leapfrog you over the kind of the original or early hurdles of running this business into effective business operation. So from finding your own customers to, the artwork that we touched upon earlier, and then just being a sounding board. One of the things that I definitely encourage our customers to do and they love is they get some of their early projects. They send us a picture of the space. They give us a bit of context and like, is there anything that we're missing? How would you go about this? What kind of settings do you use? Like just someone to talk to that may have done it before,
Nice.
to help like ease their, I think I'm doing the right thing, but I'm not exactly sure. I'd love to just get some validation. It really does go a long way. We've been told that by all of our customers really. So it's that type of thing that we really strive for because it was the thing that we didn't have. It was the reason why we, started a print service business alongside the distribution business was to put ourselves in the front line so that we were speaking from experience and not from an armchair in an office, We've been on the prints. We've been on the scaffolding. We've stacked the extensions. We've been there. We've done it. We really have the battle scars and the stories to be able to tell. So it's that's the thing that we really strive ourselves on. I think it's the thing that, at least for me, I'm certainly most proud of, and is the thing that I love sharing the most.
Yeah, you guys are like
Mark bleeds.
Yeah.
Mark bleeds CMYK, man.
I love it. And I guess you guys have all that experience, right? And you guys are definitely like a sounding board for potential.
We do go one step further. Like a lot of the initiatives that we're building here is we actually if you look at it, you say somebody who could run a successful wall printing business could be just like us, that they don't have any artistic experience. We don't want to stop someone who may have an opportunity with this. That's well, how do I get the artwork? It's that's a great question. That is a great question. If you're not an artist, how are you planning on getting this artwork? So what we've done is we've developed a premium design service. So it's the key there is you want flat rate. I'll give you as many revisions as you want to make your customer happy, but I have to know what it's going to cost, because I can't let this balloon, obviously, to no one's going to pay me for artwork they don't want, So we do offer a flat rate design service that they can engage our design team. Our creative director will take on their project and allow them to present options to their customers so that they don't have to be experts. What is great is we're obviously packaging in all of our knowledge about the printer in that, So it's we know what looks good. We know what people typically like and these kinds of things. We have experience doing it. So you're not just leveraging the service, you're also leveraging our insights into your job of well, this is very common. This looks good. This is common. We're familiar with this kind of art or this style. Let's do that. Other examples is we do offer a business package. So it's if you want us to help with your social media pages, your website, your, email templates, all the back end business stuff that you may want, we can just set that up for you so it's turnkey and ready to go. That's not everybody. That's not it's an uncommon skill these days. But you sort of look at it and you say is it necessary to be successful at wall printing? It's well, you're going to have to understand the machine to be successful. That is necessary that you get trained. I could really just give you a website. That's not, you don't need to know how that works to be successful in this. So we're sort of looking at it, trying to make it modular, where it's if you're an artist, great. That's what we want to encourage, that for sure. But if you're not, that shouldn't stop you from being able to access it and run a straightforward, run a business from it just because. So we're trying to package those things into it to give people of all walks of life the opportunity to kind of leverage this tech.
Make it as easy as possible for them to get started and just hit the ground running kind of thing.
Right. Our guiding principle really at the end of the day is, would we have used it 5 years ago?
Right.
Is this something that is this something that we would have used? Would we spend the money on this? Would this be something that we would have purchased? Did it solve a problem for us? Yes. Would have loved to have had artwork presented to me that was aligned with the way the printer worked. Would have loved to have shortchanged a lot of the website and things that is great to have. Causes a lot of stress if you don't know how to host a website and DNS servers and all of that stuff. Just not something that I'm interested in. Yes, absolutely would love that stuff. So anything that we spend time developing is something that we would have found valuable 5 years ago. And if the answer is yes, then it needs to be developed and offered. And that's an ongoing exercise. That is where almost all of our effort is going these days, is all of these things that would have been great to have, that let's create them. If they don't exist, let's create them, whether it's services or even auxiliary products, let's create them.
Yeah. And speaking on that, thinking about the future and going forward, where do you guys see wallPen in the next few years? What are the future plans for the business and what you guys are trying to achieve?
I think it's a pretty simple thing from a wallPen standpoint, is this thing, just more people need to see it and know about it and play with it. Frankly, it's I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am to see what creative types do with this. You've got two engineers that we're fine. Yes, I give us a B on effort, but there's so many things this printer can do. It's so versatile. It's so much more than just a wall printer. You'll notice if you get into our literature, we don't refer to it as a wall printer because that narrows the scope too much. It's actually a vertical printer, which is nuanced, but pretty important nuance. So one of the things that I always tell people that's as a part of the story with wallPen is another way to look at this is it's a vertical panel saw. in the sense that like now we've taken a flatbed printer that normally requires overhead. You have to have a sort of a building to put it in. You got to kind of acclimate everything's got to be catered around the fact that you have this big, not immovable, but certainly more challenging to move thing that has to exist in order for you to print signs. Our printer prints signs. It does just like as high quality as you would want on virtually any subject. So like the reality is this is actually a sign shop in your garage. It's actually a better way to look at it. We've printed on 4 foot by 8 foot sheets of Baltic birch and sold the sign, because why wouldn't we? Like, well, it doesn't have to go on the wall. I don't care, right? Like it's a vertical printer. There's a lot of ways you could look at it and say, that's an interesting way to look at a new piece of technology. So our biggest customer right now, we print on doors to classrooms.
Wow.
Like who ever thought of that? Like what is that even? You know, honestly, Mark, do you remember where that? It was your godfather, I think. Somebody came up with that idea. I think we had to invent a whole new jig rig system to just accommodate that. But it's been fantastic because it's sort of like you would never do this with a flatbed printer. It'd be too expensive to move it to and from. There's so many reasons why that wouldn't work. Whereas this like has opened a door to like kind of cool, actually, like kind of a neat thing that normally doesn't get graphics, right?
I like that. Open the door. Printing on board. That's good.
Where's the drum roll button?
Yeah, exactly. That's how you make the big bucks, James.
It's. I mean, I think for the future, the thing I'm most excited about is that where this thing is going to be used that we would have never have considered. Again, we're just two guys trying to push the envelope with whatever resources that we have available to us.
Right.
You know, as this gets into the hands of unique people and unique customers with unique perspectives and unique, networks and marketplaces, like this thing is going to fit into a niche somewhere that's just like, you would have never have thought of that. Like not in a million years did I think that this was the thing that was going to solve that problem. Didn't even know that problem existed. And, sure enough, here we are, and the wallpen's a great fit for it. So, that from my perspective, at least, that's the thing I'm most excited about as we move forward and get this into the hands of more people. And from wallpen's perspective, I'll speak on behalf of our partners in Germany. Like they are pushing the limits of technology. There is, if you really get into the nitty gritty of how this machine was made and developed and designed and all of the software back end, it is a remarkable piece of technology that was really designed from the ground up to print vertically. It's not an amalgamation of off the shelf parts and then here you are. Like every bolt and component was specifically designed for this purpose, and every piece of software that they develop is constantly getting better. So what they have up their sleeves, would have to put a big redacted NDA thing. Some things we just can't share. But what I can tell you, just within the last week, the processing time for an image just went up 200%.
Oh,
so
wow.
we significantly reduced our time on site processing an image due to a software update that just released through wallPen. It's those types of things that got launched to everybody in the system, and it was a resounding success across the board. Everybody's process became better. Time is money. Like we just shrunk a big portion of time to, from minutes to hours, literally to seconds. It was a remarkable quantum leap in improvement, and we're going to constantly see that.
It's fascinating too that like things like that, it sounds like a specification, but like actually what it is it's a bit of an emergent property. And so now instead of feeling like on a big image, you figure a 15-foot image, like that's going to be a gigabyte size photo that like, okay, if I don't process this ahead of the job, I'm going to be on site for 4 hours waiting for this thing to process. Right. Now, I want to go to site to process that. Why? Because like it's really nice to be able to take your tape measure out and like just double check everything. And like, if you got to make a change, you got to reprocess it, right? That's currently how it sits. So it's this like thing where you're like, I want to make sure I'm efficient, but any changes that come on a big file are like a bit of a mess. So when we say 200%, like now I look at it and I go, I won't ever think of trying to preload or pre-process my image because it's so fast. I'll just do it on site. That way I can double check everything, make sure the client's happy. It gives you a whole brand new like sales tool, right? Like I could get final sign off on even the biggest image at the job site and not worry that I'm wasting my time. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. I was going to say, like, do you guys have any, as being like entrepreneurs, do you guys have any advice for future entrepreneurs in the wall printing business? Any insights, any like tips, words of wisdom that
Yeah,
you can.
lots. Again, let's cover all that on the second podcast. But like biggest piece of advice in somebody doing this is the name of the game is like for the technology is like you have to have reliability. This machine has to work. I can promise you. The only part of this equation that like is absolutely essential where you can't fake it is the machine has to work. So do your research on that and make sure that when you look at it, I can guarantee you a wallpen's going to work. Right? We sign our name on every wallpen out there. It's like that's what we're suggesting is that this was engineered and designed. That's absolutely essential that you do that. Beyond that, I would say there's no reason not to start right now, even without a machine. If you're wondering, that's probably the most common question, and we can go through the frequently asked questions that come up on every call or these things. It's like, how do I make money at this? Well, go sell a print. You don't necessarily need to have a printer. A lot of that sales stuff happens up front. If you want to know if you think that you're going to be successful in your market, go and talk to these people. You can use our stuff as your example. Go on YouTube, go on Instagram, show them our videos, and I mean it's going to be the same technology. Go see what they have to say about it. Check the temperature on the market because I guarantee you're going to feel differently about investing. You know, the heavy upfront investment of a wall pen. You're going to feel differently when you go and you're like, well, yeah, but I just booked $10,000 worth of business, so like my ROI is actually going to be really fast here. Like this actually isn't as much of an upfront as I thought. That's don't take my word for it. Although like, trust me, but like, don't take my word for it. Like trust but verify, you know what I mean? Go out there and talk to who you think you can go do a wall print for. Go pitch it to them. Go see what they have to say. Go let them know what the technology is. It's a great starting point to see if you even like it. You know, it's not necessarily for everybody. Like, if you don't like sales, like the wall pen doesn't make it necessary. It's an easy thing to sell, but I don't know that it makes sales easier. Sales is kind of its own thing. You have to go and like you have to know what prospecting is. You have to want to go talk to people and engage and network. So start there. Because if you're not going to do that, the wall pen won't save you. It doesn't have that feature yet. Yeah.
Working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a broad piece of advice, but it certainly applies to this type of business. Remember why you're doing it. Remember what gets you excited about the project, and then harness that and communicate that every time you're speaking to somebody about it. You know,
that's a great way of putting it.
You're here because it's cool. You're here because you think it's amazing. You know, you're doing this business, and what this could apply to any business, but like you're in this business specifically because you think it's great. Like communicate that, get that excitement, because everybody else will think the same thing if they see it and read it off of you. So, you know, that's something that we try to embody. And yeah, I mean, you can tell if you speak to us at any point in time, we will talk about this stuff for hours. You know, we're constantly saying like our wives are sick and tired of hearing us talk about wall printing and vertical printing. So, please, give us a call, give us an outlet. We'll chat your ear off. There's like so much to say about it, and we're open books.
Yeah, and I guess like on that, like where can people connect with you and like reach out to? Like, where's the best spot for them to reach out to?
Mark's address is no.
Actually, you're welcome to give it to them. So we're based out of Asheville, North Carolina, in the U.S., and Toronto in Canada.
Nice.
The culmination of getting in contact with us, like ultimately what you should be planning on doing is coming to see us. Like come check it out. Like I've got just a wonderful, beautiful machine, right? It's sitting there. It's waiting for interesting people with interesting projects to come check it out. Like happy to host, happy to spend as much time as you want going through it, talking about it, showing. Again, as Mark said, I'll sleep there if we have to. If you want to cover off that much detail, like we'll make it happen for you. In the very short term, just check us out on our website, verticalprinters.com, right? There's links to our Instagram, see the examples of work, sign up. We're going to send you case studies and a pricing brochure. And like, you can take a look at it yourself and evaluate the specs and everything that you're going to want to know is all on there. It's all available. And then you're welcome to book a call with us. It'll be very similar to like what you're doing here, James, which is like happy to talk to you, give you a virtual demo. I can set up my machine. Mark obviously has his set up. Lots of great ways to get in contact. Even if you want to text us, that's fine too. Like whatever questions you have, we're here to answer them.
That's cool. It's good that you guys, it's not like one of those things where people will, connect with you guys and it's someone else in the call center talking to you. It's actually like Marc and Mark helping you through like the process. So which I think is like really key for people who are like joining in. That's really awesome.
If it's not us directly, it'll be on our team. We do have some people starting out that are going to be like kind of taking over some of the day-to-day content production, but we're extremely accessible, obviously. So by all means, come on by or text us again. Get in touch. We'd love to talk about your application or your ideas, or we have tons of resources we can send you. So
that's awesome. Anything else? Any closing words? I put you on
Really fun, man. This is new for us. I had a great time. James, thanks so much for hosting and keeping us on track. If it was left to Mark and I, we would have spun ourselves into a hole a long time ago. So
we'd be debating Photoshop applications or something by this point.
No, I think this is amazing. Like from the very first time that I met the two of you guys and actually saw the robot in the works and it actually printing something, like I was like just absolutely blown away. And you guys have used this example of like being hypnotized by the robot, and it's so true. Like when you're on site and you're looking at like the iPad to see like what the actual artwork is, and then you see that translated onto like a wall, not even a flat wall, like a brick wall, for instance, and it printing that creative onto the wall and having it come to life for other people to see and to share it with them. It's remarkable of like the technology and innovation that's involved with like the wallPen. It's funny to think that, you know, a lot of the times you think you can only use vinyl for certain like wall applications, but like this is beyond words. It should, if anyone is out there interested in like signing up with this and just wants to see examples, like definitely check out the website, check out Instagram to see it in motion and like the look and the reaction on people's faces. And especially the end customer, the shop owners, the auto dealerships, like they're blown away and like beyond happy with the end results of what they have. So it's great, man. It's awesome to talk to you guys again soon, and hopefully we do this again and maybe do a deeper dive into like working with artists and maybe even some of the people who already have the wallPen and who are starting their businesses out and maybe were maybe on the fence on whether this was for them and seeing the successes that they've had. So yeah, it's been great to talk with you guys, and we'll do it again very soon.
Sounds good, James.
Thanks, James.
buddy.
All right. See ya.